past, former President Obama is back on the campaign trail. He is in Newark, New Jersey right now, stumping for Phil Murphy, the Democratic candidate for governor of New Jersey. Let's listen in.
First of all, thank you. So, no, for him. I will refer you both to the Constitution as well as to Michelle Obama to explain why that will not happen. But we got 4 more years coming up right here in Jersey. I want to begin by thanking your mayor, our host, Ross Baraka, who's in the House. Couple of outstanding congressmen next to him, Congressman Pallone and Congressman Payne. Give it up. Oh, we got, you know what, this is what happens when you start, how many congressmen are here? Because I don't want to get them all in trouble. Got Norcross, Payne, and Pallone. All right, I just want to make sure because I started thinking, uh-oh, I might have 4 others here and I'm in trouble. We've got your next lieutenant governor, Assemblywoman Sheila Oliver, in the House. And we have the next governor of the great state of New Jersey, Phil Murphy. That's him. Now, I've known Phil for a long time. He and Tammy have been great friends to me and Michelle. I have to say, by the way, they were at the White House, I think having dinner with us, maybe a couple of small cocktails, perhaps. When Phil said, you know, I got this crazy idea that I might want to run for governor in New Jersey. And Michelle said, are you sure? Because she knows that anytime you enter into the realm of public service, just as these outstanding congressmen know, just as the mayor knows, you know, it's a challenge, not just for you, but it's also a challenge for your family. Fortunately, Tammy and the kids have been so supportive and excited because they've always understood what Phil's understood, which is it's not enough just to do well. It's not enough just to be a highly successful business person. What's important is, what kind of citizen are you? Are you somebody who's led local charities? Are you somebody who's helped to start nonprofits? Are you somebody who's been a good husband and a good father? And somebody who recognizes that those of us who are blessed are required to give back. Because Phil's worked hard, just like I've worked hard, just like the other public officials here work hard, but what we also know is that we're here because somebody else helped to put us here. We're here because our parents, our grandparents worked hard to give us opportunity. We're here because there are a whole bunch of people who worked hard to make sure this was the land of opportunity. There were people who marched and people who organized and people who sacrificed so that we could get a chance at the American dream. And what we also know is that in some ways we were lucky, because there were people who worked really hard just like us and struggled and strived and had big dreams just like we did, and maybe they didn't get the same breaks. And so when Phil and his family said, I'm ready to go, I'm willing to step out there and step into what can be a pretty tough political environment, I wasn't surprised, because I knew him and I knew Tammy and I knew their character. And I knew how much they loved this great state and how much they wanted to give back. In fact, that spirit of service is why 8 years ago I asked Phil to serve as America's ambassador to Germany. Now, keep in mind, when I asked him to do this, we were on the brink of the worst, not just financial crisis, but potentially the worst depression we had seen since the 1930s. And Germany and Europe were critical in us coordinating to make sure that we saved jobs and we put the economy back on track. And so having somebody good and credible and solid to represent the United States in Germany, that was a big deal. And not only did he do such a good job that we were able to work with Chancellor Merkel and others to help put the world economy back on track. But he became such a big celebrity that when I went over there, everybody's all like, yeah, we love Phil Murphy. He was on TV all the time. He was, going from town to town. It was a big deal being the ambassador from the United States. But part of what that tells you is that the world counts on America having its act together. The world is looking to us as an example. The world asks what our values and ideals are, and are we living up to our creed? And just as the world is looking to us, in 19 days, the world's going to be looking at New Jersey. In 19 days, the world's going to look and see what kind of politics do we believe in? What kind of community do we believe in? What are our priorities? What are our values? What do we want to teach our kids? What message do we want to send to them? Now, the good news is times aren't as hard for everybody as they were back when Phil answered the call to serve. We took the unemployment rate from a high of 10% and we got it below 5%. We created millions of jobs and we got wages and incomes growing again. And by the way, we covered a whole bunch of folks with insurance too that didn't have it before. But we all know that we're still falling short of what we could be. We've still got work to do. We know we've got more work to do to create a stronger, fair economy for every family. In cities like Newark, in rural counties where people feel abandoned, the laid-off factory worker, the waitress, the healthcare worker who's still struggling to pay the bills, the child who's still languishing in a school that's under-equipped. Everybody who works hard every day and just wants some solid ground beneath their feet. Everybody who wants to know that their kids are growing up safe and have the chance to do better than they did. Everybody who wants to feel as if the game's not fixed and that if you work hard in this country, no matter what you look like, no matter where you come from, no matter the color of your skin, no matter what your faith is, that you've got a chance for the piece of the American dream. And in that debate, there's only one candidate who's actually going to have your back for governor and one who's going to have your back as lieutenant governor. Only one candidate who can bring the change that New Jersey desperately needs, and that is Phil Murphy. Because Phil has spent his life creating jobs and growing opportunity. He knows what it means to serve. And he wants to put that experience and that vision and that leadership to work serving all the people in New Jersey with good jobs that pay good wages and equal pay for equal work and health care that's protected from political gamesmanship. He wants to create a growing, thriving middle class where it's easier to connect to new jobs and growing industries, to buy a home, to put some money away, to retire. He wants to make sure that young people here in Newark feel a renewed sense of hope. He wants to work with the mayor to make sure that they don't feel as if they've got to leave Newark in order to have a shot. He wants to make sure that those young people who've strayed and taken the wrong path, that they have a chance to get their lives back together again. Wants to make sure that all of New Jersey is safe, and working with law enforcement, that keeping people safe is not contradictory with making sure that the laws are just and fair. So we've done a lot of work. We've made it easier for people to get a higher education. We've made America more respected around the world. We've given people health care. These are not abstractions. These are things that have happened. We know we can do them when people work together. But what we can't have is the same old politics of division that we have seen so many times before, that dates back centuries. Some of the politics we see now, we thought we put that to bed. I mean, that's folks looking 50 years back. It's the 21st century, not the 19th century. Come on. Phil understands that New Jersey wants to move forward. It doesn't want to go backwards. It wants to work together. It doesn't want to work apart. These are the things that can happen when we work hard. But, and here's the thing, none of this happens unless people get involved, unless people get engaged, unless people vote. Phil can't do this alone. Sheila can't do this alone. They've got to have you. And you can't take this election or any election for granted. I don't know if you all noticed that. But you can't take any election for granted. You've got to run through the tape. It's just like sports. A few days ago, Yankees were down 2-0. Suddenly, Judge hits a home run. That's a big boy, too. Next thing you know, Yankees are up a game. 1-3 straight. Anything can happen. That's what Yogi Berra said. It ain't over till it's over. So this, I don't care what polls say. I don't care what the pundits say. What matters is what's happening in communities and what's happening in neighborhoods and what's happening in your block and what's happening in your township. Elections matter. Every vote counts. So I am grateful for everything that all of you have already done to get out the vote for Phil and for Sheila. That's the work of active citizenship. I've said this before, the most important office in democracy is not the office of president or the office of governor or lieutenant governor or congressman or mayor. The most important office is the office of citizen. All of us have a responsibility to make our democracy work. That's where the rubber hits the road. Nothing frustrates me more when I hear folks complaining, and then you talk to them, did you vote? No. What? You cannot complain if you didn't vote. If you give away your power, and then somebody does things that are contrary to your interests, that's not that person's fault, that's your fault. Because you did not exercise the power that our Constitution gives us, that people fought for, that built this country. So The issue here is not what somebody else does. This is entirely under your control. Not just the people in this room, everybody who's watching. If you don't like how things are going, you got to vote. If you don't like how things have been governed, you've got to vote. And not just vote yourself, you got to get your friends. You got to get your neighbors. You got to get Cousin Pookie. You got to get, you got to get Uncle Jimmy. He's been on the couch. He's drinking a beer. He doesn't even remember it's an election. Come on. You've got to talk to people and explain that this counts. And you've got to do it, by the way, not just over the next 19 days. You're going to have to do it after Phil and Sheila get elected. Because you're going to need to help them fight for the agenda that matters to you once they're in office. That's how we move the country forward. That's how you move New Jersey forward. So, if you know people who haven't got involved, send them to murphyfornj.com. That's four. That's the number 4. Not F-O-R. That's 4. They can register to vote right there if they already have not. Ask them, will you join us? Will you sign up for a volunteer shift? Will you knock on some doors? Will you make some phone calls? Will you tell your friends and your neighbors what's at stake? You've got to get everybody out to vote on November 7th. And when you do, if you play your part, not only will you make Phil Murphy the next governor of New Jersey, not only will you make Sheila Oliver the next lieutenant governor of New Jersey, not only will you move New Jersey forward, but you're going to send a message to the country and you will send a message to the world that we are rejecting a politics of division. We are rejecting a politics of fear. That we are embracing a politics that says everybody counts. A politics that says everybody deserves a chance. A politics that says everybody has dignity and worth. A politics of hope. That's what you're fighting for. Go out there and get the work and bring this home. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
All right, we've been listening to former President Barack Obama there on the stump for Democratic gubernatorial candidate Murphy there. You heard the president in Newark basically going through some very familiar campaign themes that we've heard. Of course, this being Throwback Thursday, I suppose it's appropriate.